I have conquered every land and tamed nature itself. Man is beneath me!
Whether he be featured as an epic boss fight or as a fully playable character, Venom always seems to make a lasting impression within Spider-Man video games. And surely that trend will continue if he ends up getting his own game. But regardless, welcome back true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans to a long overdue Marvel games related video. And on top of simply being beyond busy with all the current work that I'm doing within the Disney College program, along with also personally recovering from a little bit of a flu, there really hasn't been that much news going on lately pertaining to any of the upcoming AAA Marvel games, specifically in the case of anything coming from Insomniac, which in this instance does relate to their next major AAA Marvel game that they will be releasing next fall with none other than Marvel's Wolverine. And although we do have official confirmation from Insomniac Games themselves indicating that we will be hearing and seeing more from Marvel's Wolverine sometime next spring, there's also been quite a few rumblings happening recently pertaining to the still heavily rumored AAA standalone Venom game, which if everything that we seemingly know about this project is to be believed, then it definitely sounds like that Insomniac has their hands full for the next couple of years. So if you're someone like me who continues to be beyond hyped of the possibility of a standalone Venom game from Insomniac, then definitely be sure to thwip that like button and subscribe to the channel for even more Marvel Games videos like this down the line. So to swing right on into all this news is that we do have a recent article from BamSmackPow.com which goes on to fully break down some of the latest industry insider info pertaining to this heavily rumored Venom game. And as always, none of this information has yet to be officially confirmed by anyone over at Insomniac, Marvel, or PlayStation. So of course make sure to take everything within this article with a grain of salt. But at the same time, this industry insider also previously reported about details relating to this Venom game, which was then backed up even further by an extremely credible source with that of MP First. And if you know anything about MP First and their sources, they are pretty much never wrong, which is pretty much the long-winded way of saying that if everything about this rumored Venom game turns out to be true, then this game is going to be utterly phenomenal. So as this article goes on to highlight is that 4 unlockable costumes in Marvel's Venom video game have reportedly been revealed. Even if Marvel's Venom hasn't been officially confirmed yet, we might know 4 unlockable skins set to appear in the awaited video game. And let me tell you that that is merely the tip of this already exciting iceberg. For quite some time now, it's been rumored that the Lethal Protector will have his own spin-off game, with Eddie Brock possibly acting as the symbiote's host and Carnage wreaking havoc as the main antagonist. Now, a new report reveals the game will include some iconic alternate looks for Venom that are bound to make fans happy. According to Insider, that redacted guy, Marvel's Venom will include multiple different skins, with 4 of them being the iconic anti-Venom look, which was actually previously reported by the same source that anti-Venom might actually end up being part of the game's main story rather than a simple alternate suit. The Captain Universe design seen in the King in Black comic book event, which I for one think makes a whole lot of sense considering that we did receive a ton of King in Black references within the main narrative of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Mac Gargan's Venom, which is pretty interesting to include a different host's iteration of Venom as a main alternate skin, especially considering that we now know that Mac Gargan himself is canonically dead within the Marvel Spider-Man universe, unfortunately due to the fact that he was killed by Kraven. And last but not least, which I think was bound to happen, is that Tom Hardy's Venom will also apparently receive his own skin within this Venom game, which in all honesty would pretty much be the easiest easiest skin for Insomniac to make, considering that it's pretty much their already established Venom design, just with no spider symbol whatsoever. Now, it's worth noting that this is just a small sample of what's to come, but there's no denying that these 4 attires are among some of the most iconic in the Lethal Protector's wardrobe. Furthermore, is that popular choices for additional skins among fans are Venom's look in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 and the timeless Todd McFarlane design. Of course, Marvel could also include an all-new Venom costume given the character's current comic book run, and perhaps some others based on other symbiotes such as Toxin or Riot. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that having a skin for a character like all-new Venom would work in this instance, considering that's actually Mary Jane who's the main host of all-new Venom rather than Eddie Brock, or in Insomniac's case, Harry Osborn. But I definitely think that the easiest layup of all time, if we are to include even more alternate suits for Venom within this game, would without a doubt be both versions of the Ultimate design, where of course I am referring to the classic early 2000s Ultimate Venom with the purple highlights and the much more cel-shaded aesthetic that we did see of this version of the character in the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, and even possibly incorporating the newer Ultimate Spider-Man storyline version of Venom as an alternate suit, with Richard Parker's take on the character, who just so happens to be Peter Parker's son. As for a suit like the Spider-Man 3 version of Venom, that one might be a bit more complicated, considering that the overall build of Venom in Spider-Man 3 is much more slimmer and skinnier in comparison to the massive hulking monster that we see in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. However, there have been some very cool mods already established in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, showcasing exactly what the much more bulkier version of the Spider-Man 3 Venom design could look like in-game. And if Insomniac ends up doing something similar to that in this standalone spin-off game, then that would be absolutely fantastic. But if you guys have been following me and my channel for quite some time now, then you would know that while it is awesome to hear that we might end up receiving alternate suits within this Venom game, I personally care much more about what the type of gameplay mechanics would be, as well as the overall narrative and storyline that the game will entail. And despite that we don't have too much new information on the storyline front of things, we do have one critically important piece of new information that would be absolutely mind-blowing if it turns out to be true. Where, to wrap up the article with a bang, is that in addition to the reveal of these 4 skins, the same source also reported that Marvel's Venom is likely to include a fight between the Lethal Protector and Wolverine. At this point, the two have a complicated past in the video game world, given their previous confrontations in Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. And last but certainly not least is that it's been heavily rumored that the symbiotic game is targeting a 2027 release date, just in between Marvel's Wolverine and Marvel's Spider-Man 3, which is what the article meant to write. And based on all this massive information, there's only one logical thing to say.
Holy shit.
To begin with the supposed release date, that's actually an incredibly fast turnaround if this turns out to be true, considering that we do know that Wolverine is planning to launch in fall of 2026. So if Venom is planning to release only a year after Wolverine, then this not only indicates the rumor's validity that we could see this Venom game being the same type of scope and scale as Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, but it also teases that Insomniac are pretty much well underway with the Venom game's development, while they're simultaneously putting all the finishing touches on Marvel's Wolverine. And yeah, speaking of Wolverine, if we end up getting a rematch between Venom and Logan, just like what we saw over 20 years ago at this point, all the way back in Ultimate Spider-Man, that is hands down going to be a dream come true for die-hard Spider-Man gamers everywhere. But what's more interesting about the possibilities with this scenario is, would we actually actually end up fighting Wolverine as Venom, or would the tables finally turn and we could finally have a shot at Venom by playing as Wolverine himself? Especially given that Marvel's Venom game would more than likely be set within Marvel's New York, just like all the previous Insomniac Spider-Man games. That would also imply that Logan might return to the States after all the events that occur within his own game. So it is going to be extremely interesting to see while playing Marvel's Wolverine exactly what the narrative is going to be like throughout that game's story, and how it could lead into the future of Insomniac's other main Marvel franchise with their Spider-Man games. And if the possible first step of seeing Insomniac's Wolverine interacting with Insomniac's Spider-Man is through that of having Wolverine and Venom fight in Venom's own game, that would be utterly unreal. But we can only hope in the meantime that this dream ends up becoming a reality sooner rather than later. But with all that said, everybody, that's the video I have for all you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped would you be if we end up fighting Wolverine in this standalone Venom game? And out of all the other alternate suits that Venom has had throughout his comic history, which costume would you like to see be featured in this game and why? Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel Games videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and until next time, peace out.